Hi, I'm Captain Tracy Urena, a Public Affairs Officer for Maryland Wing and the host of the syndicated radio program, Civil Air Patrol Today. I'd like to share with you our experience with getting the Civil Air Patrol message out into the mass media market. Now, a little bit of background about myself. I've been in the Civil Air Patrol for 3 years. Started off as a parent. My son started off as a cadet at 12 years old and quickly fell in love with the program and everything that Civil Air Patrol stood for. So I joined at the local level as a public affairs officer. And it didn't take me long to realize that one of the problems that we have at Civil Air Patrol, especially as a public affairs officer, is getting the word out there about who Civil Air Patrol is and what it is that we do. And I was very fortunate that I was approached by the local radio station to be interviewed about that very topic. Now, I came into the radio station. I had no background in radio whatsoever. Never been to a radio station. Was scared to death, to be honest with you. Came in, sat down, was interviewed for 30 minutes about who we are, what is our mission, what is it that we do, and what are we hoping to accomplish. And by the end of the 30 minutes, got most of the information out there that I really wanted to get out there. But I realized there was so much more that could be put out into the public. So went back, talked to my squadron commander, and we decided to put together a Civil Air Patrol Today show. Now, we were very fortunate there had been one in previous years, and so I had a kind of a template to work from. But what I want to do today is talk to you about what it is that you can do, both from a squadron or a group or wing level, to get the Civil Air Patrol message out there to your market. How do you do that? How do you utilize radio or podcast to get that message out there? What is the reality of free broadcast airtime? After the Telecom Act, radio and TV stations are no longer required to do PSAs. But what they are required to do is long-form community discussion programs discussing the needs of the community. So what does that mean? Some examples of that would be youth programs, homeland defense, and even education. In our wing, we've used this requirement to get a 30-minute program on 7 area radio stations. And we use this program for recruiting and aerospace education outreach. So now that you know that using mass media is one avenue as a public affairs officer you can use to get the Civil Air Patrol message out there, it's time to kind of talk about what it is that would be involved in your show. Now, there's some things that are just kind of specific for any radio program, whether it's for Civil Air Patrol or it's for anything in general. Kind of the requirements of the show. Now, first and foremost, you must have a person to do it, a host. Now, this can be a little bit tricky based on the politics of your squadron. Just because, for instance, your squadron commander might be the one in charge, might not make him or her the best person to be hosting the show. You need to find somebody that's really energetic, that's warm and welcoming, that's outgoing, that can really connect with your audience. There's nothing worse than talking to somebody or listening to somebody on the air when they're just very dull and very boring. It doesn't interest you in the information at all. So that's first and foremost. And so don't be afraid to look outside of just your command. Think about a cadet, maybe one of the parents, somebody that you know that really would reach out and make a difference. Once you've found your host, something else that you need for your show is you need an opening and a close. And what that means in radio jargon, that basically means the opening of the show. What is your show? Who is your show? What is it about? Some sort of information that when somebody first tunes in, if they know nothing about what they're about to listen to, it kind of explains or kind of talks about what it is. That's called the opening. Now, the close can be a little bit different. Close might include information about how they get your information, whether it's your website, or your Facebook page, YouTube video, or even send them over to the national website to get more information. As the public affairs officer for your local squadron, your wing, or your group, it's important that you are constantly looking for ways to get the Civil Air Patrol's message out to the public. You now have in your toolkit the ability to do a radio broadcast or a podcast. I want to thank you for spending some time with me. It's been a real pleasure. If you have any questions or would like more information about the Civil Air Patrol Today program or about how to set up your own podcast or radio broadcast, please feel free to email me at tracyurenacap@gmail.com.